Here's your news for October 24th, 2019. We're starting with some huge news from NXT, as the Gold brand advertised Finn Balor explaining what he meant by saying, "My past is my future." The former NXT champion waited until the main event to make his statement, after Roderick Strong retained the NXT North American title against both Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic. Following the match, the rest of the Undisputed Era laid a beatdown on Lee. When Tommaso Ciampa came out to attack the Era, the numbers were clearly against him, and this was also the case when Johnny Gargano came to assist him. But when Balor made his presence known, the gap was closed at 4-3. That was until Balor shockingly Pele kicked Gargano square in the face, and the Undisputed Era used this opportunity to beat up Ciampa, while the Irish superstar continued his beatdown on Johnny Wrestling out of the ring, hitting Gargano with a dropkick over the guardrail and dropping him with his Bloody Sunday DDT. It didn't seem like Balor was looking to join the Undisputed Era, but it was certainly a heel turn for Finn, his first since joining WWE in 2014. It's still unclear what Balor meant by "my past is my future," but what we do know is that Gargano and Finn are feuding, which should lead to some very exciting matches. From one Bullet Club alumni to another next, as even though he's mostly been working in multi-man matches with his OC brothers, AJ Styles remains the United States Champion. Next week, however, Styles will defend his title on TV for the first time in a month at Crown Jewel, as the show will also hold a special 20-man battle royal to determine the #1 contender. The potential challengers haven't been announced yet, but this does seem like an ideal spot for the Saudi superstar Mansoor, who won the Super Showdown Battle Royal this past June, but he's already booked to face Cesaro. We're looking at AEW Dynamite now, as this week's show started with a tag team tournament match between the Lucha Bros and Private Party. Given their actions, it seemed like the Bros were supposed to be the heels, but fans weren't buying that one bit, as the team of Phoenix and Pentagon got the win, qualifying for the finals. With one finalist crowned for the tag team tournament, the next match between SoCal Uncensored and the Dark Order was set to determine their opponents. After last week's attack on Christopher Daniels, the SCU was hungry for redemption and got just that, defeating the Dark Order to qualify for the finals, where they'll meet the Lucha Bros next Wednesday to crown the first AEW Tag Team Champions. Up next, it was time for singles action, as Kenny Omega has finally got some wins back under his belt after pinning Joey Janela. Getting the 3 count after a one-winged angel, the pair absolutely tore the house down, despite not a single table being broken in this encounter. With 3 matches down, it was time for a promo, as AEW Vice President Cody Rhodes tried to speak about his upcoming title match against AEW World Champion Chris Jericho, but this didn't go according to plan. After being interrupted by Jericho and the Inner Circle, Cody threatened to fight the Fozzy Star in the Skybox, but when Jericho bragged of his 4-on-1 advantage, Rhodes received some much-needed backup from Dustin Rhodes, MJF, and WWE Hall of Famer Diamond Dallas Page. Wisely, Jericho locked Cody out of the area. In a very badass move, Rhodes broke the glass with his fist, which had been protected by MJF's scarf. What followed was an all-out brawl between the two factions, as it seems Rhodes is in the head of the champion, ahead of the title match next month at Full Gear. More tag team action next, as the Young Bucks defeated the Best Friends in a highly entertaining contest. Even before the match started, Orange Cassidy tried to have a super kick party with the Bucks, who were more than happy to oblige with some kicks to the face. After pinning Chucky T with more bang for your buck, the duo accepted the challenge of Ortiz and Santana for a match at Full Gear, as the pay-per-view is really picking up momentum. In a women's division match, Dr. Britt Baker got a win in her hometown of Pittsburgh, and had a very special guest accompany her to the ring, Steely McBeam, the mascot of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Losing to Baker was just the start of a rough night for Jamie Hayter though, as she'd be attacked by Brandy Rhodes backstage in a shocking act by the chief brand officer. In the main event of the show, Pac vs. Moxley went to a time limit draw, and while the time limit should in theory make the show seem more like a sport, it didn't exactly please the fans. What did please the fans though was Moxley hitting the paradigm shift on the referee post-match, as it's clear there's plenty of fight in the former lunatic fringe. Another great show this week, though one where there did seem to be a handful of issues, which AEW should be addressing in the coming weeks. Before the show, Dustin Rhodes and Sonny Kiss defeated Peter Avalon and QT Bates, in a match which will be featured on the next edition of AEW Dark. A women's Fatal 4-Way also took place between Emi Sakura, Penelope Ford, Allie, and Sadie Gibbs, which culminated in Sakura pinning Ford, in a match AEW Women's Champion Riho must have been watching closely. And finally in the Dark Show, Darby Allin bounced back from losing to Chris Jericho last week by defeating Jimmy Havoc and Jack Evans in a Falls Count Anywhere match, as it's evident that the future is bright for the young star. Airing at the same time as AEW on TNT was NXT. And while we've already mentioned Finn Balor's shocking heel turn after the main event, there was plenty more to see. In a battle of strength, Rhea Ripley defeated Bianca Belair in a contest that saw both Candice LeRae and Io Shirai get involved. Finishing Belair off with the Riptide, it's obvious all 4 women want a shot at NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler, but Ripley may have put herself in prime position with tonight's win. With former UK champion Tyler Bate watching, Cameron Grimes took on Matt Riddle, and the King of Bros brought an end to Grimes' winning streak. Post-match, Grimes turned down Riddle's fist bump, which was instead accepted by Bate, leading to an altercation with his nemesis. After being shoved by Grimes, the British star responded with a bop and bang punch to down his foe, as this is a night Grimes will want to be forgotten very soon. Fans saw 6-man tag action next, as while the Forgotten Sons used the numbers game 2 weeks ago to defeat Breezango, this week was much different thanks to Isaiah Scott. With Swerve in their corner, Breezango, this week sporting Top Gun-themed attires, was able to topple the Sons, with Scott scoring the pin on Wesley Blake after a step-up kick that echoed around the arena. We had our second women's division matchup next as Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox got arguably the biggest wins of their career. Defeating Marina Shafir and Jessamyn Duke, the pair not only earned bragging rights, but also a shot at the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships against the Kabuki Warriors. Speaking of Asuka and Kairi Sane, both appeared on the Titantron after the match, and said they had no intention of ending the reign when the two teams go face-to-face next week with the gold on the line. Will Nox and Kai be burned by the green mist of the Empress, or will the duo pick up a shocking upset win to capture the titles? Tune in to NXT next week to find out. It was main event time next, as Roderick Strong kept the NXT North American title with his team by defeating both Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic. As the champion going into the triple threat match, Strong didn't even need to be pinned for the gold to change hands, and repeatedly ended up trying to survive the match with his title. In the end, it was the brute force of Lee and Dijakovic that sealed their own fate, as after the Limitless Star exhaustedly powerbombed Dijakovic off the ropes, Strong got the sneaky pinfall, leading to the Era coming out, as well as Ciampa, Gargano, and Balor, leading to the first Universal Champion's shocking heel turn. Now, there are few wrestling chants more iconic than "What?" but it seems the legendary Steve Austin call isn't according to everyone's taste. On the WWE on Fox Twitter this week, folks were asked kindly to stop the "What?" chants, and even referenced the chant being used when Angelo Dawkins said goodbye to NXT, and its most recent use at Jerry Lawler on Raw, before the comment was deleted. During his edition of the King's Court with Rusev, Lawler even asked fans to cut the chant out, but Austin would react on Twitter with a "what" of his own. In all honesty, asking fans to stop with the chant will only encourage them to do it more, as fans know they can get a rise out of some superstars. Former WWE Champion CM Punk also weighed in on the story, with a simple tweet of his own name, which has become a fan chant of disapproval since his departure in 2014. With rumors of Punk's return, though, this chant may be heard a lot more in the near future, but this time aimed at the best in the world himself. More Austin news now, as after a near 4-year absence, it seems that the Stone Cold podcast could be returning to the WWE Network. According to WrestleVotes on Twitter, the company is planning to bring the show back in the first quarter of 2020, if not sooner, and will follow the same format as before. The show had guest spots on the network from 2014 to 2016 before venturing on his own and running The Steve Austin Show on Podcast One. Over the years, Austin has interviewed some of wrestling's biggest stars, including Vince McMahon himself, and it seems fans can expect more from the legendary Hellraiser in the coming months. One superstar Austin has plenty of history with is Kurt Angle, who is celebrating after adding another member to his family. Yesterday, the Olympian revealed that after over a year of paperwork, he and his wife have adopted their new son from Bulgaria and are on their way to bring him back to the States now. Young Joseph will be the latest addition of Kurt Angle's large family, which includes 2 children from his first marriage and now 4 from his second. Being an Olympic gold medalist and former WWE champion is one thing, but it seems Angle's proudest achievement is being a father, and he can now bring his skills to help the lives of their new Bulgarian son. Back to WWE now, and Drake Maverick and R-Truth have finally buried the hatchet. Since the debut of the 24/7 title this year, the pair have battled over the coveted Green Championship, which currently belongs to Sunil Singh of the Bollywood Boys. Appearing on WWE's The Bump, Maverick and Truth hugged it out after the British superstar asked for them to forgive each other. And since both superstars are on different brands, it's nice to see the pair have finally made amends. As champion, Singh has quickly become the most hunted man in wrestling, and we can't help but wonder whether Truth and Maverick's truce will last if either win the gold again. And finally today, we're looking at some news from Rey Mysterio, who recently appeared on Raw with his arm in a sling. Being confronted by Shelton Benjamin, things certainly looked bad for Rey, until Cain Velasquez made the save, though fans have been wondering why Velasquez didn't come out to help his pal at the start. Benjamin clearly wasn't happy about this intervention by the former UFC heavyweight champion, and in a tweet told the masked superstar that they'll have to, quote, revisit their conversation at a later date. One of the most gifted stars on the roster, it's a real shame that Benjamin has gone underutilized, so hopefully a feud with Rey and his history with Velasquez's crown jewel opponent Brock Lesnar will help his career. As for Mysterio, his epic career speaks for itself, and as well as being a shoo-in for WWE's Hall of Fame, Rey is set to be honored in 2020 by the Cauliflower Alley Club. The club is regarded as one of the most respected wrestling clubs of all time, with the all-time greats involved, and now Mysterio will be joining the ranks in 2020 as the recipient of the Lucha Libre Award. We'd like to send a huge congrats to Rey for the award, as after decades in the ring and a truly one-of-a-kind career, Mr. 619 is definitely deserving of the honor in April next year.